Um, so the idea is it's still a small 5-person class. Okay, so this is a month-long nutrition course. I've been developing this curriculum for about 2 years now, and I was using this curriculum with athletes long before I started working at Lifetime. But over the last couple of years, I've realized that most people here, especially in this location, tend to ask about the same like 8 to 10 things, and everyone has very similar motivations. So it was a challenge, but I was able to kind of like tweak that curriculum and adjust it so that everything that I'm typically asked about and that I'm typically addressing with people is just addressed right off the bat. I feel like one thing that I need to start with is usually when people express interest in in making changes in their nutritional habits, um, they feel like they need to go ham, go full out. They need to make like a total adjustment, 180 from where they're at. And the most common question that I get is, "Hey, can you make me a meal plan?" And that is literally like nails on a chalkboard to me, because although I will do it one on one and over a period of like 5 to 6 weeks circumstantially, it really doesn't, no one succeeds long term with that. It just ends up causing frustration eventually. Your body either doesn't take to it, you get bored because it's not different types of food, you don't know how to like accommodate different social events or life events or whatever. And so the purpose of this course is to go from start to finish, from day one to the end, and address literally everything from, okay, like what is food made of and how can I tell what is a good choice and what is not a good choice? And is that even a real thing? All the way to like, what are the subtleties of all the different supplements that we offer here at Lifetime and that other places offer? Why might they be good for you and why might they be horrible for you? Different types of diets, questions that people commonly ask here. What are common diets? Keto, paleo, low carb. Like I hear this. I do intermittent fasting. So addressing all of those different things about those general diets without having to go and like air your personal information in front of 4 other people. And being able to kind of, the point is I want you to be able to apply that information yourself by the end of 4 classes, to feel like you can take a lot of responsibility for little subtle changes that you make that are going to hopefully help you feel way better. Does that make sense?
It does.
Is that good? Does anyone have any questions on that little ramble?
I have comments, maybe questions.
Yes.
So I'm thinking about this journey and I'm thinking about you presenting new information and I'm thinking about how it's worked for me in the past with
Yeah.
information. And I bet you, being the expert in your field, it could overwhelm me. So I wonder if there could be action items for me to try to apply and then a
Yes.
check-in as we go like week to week so that I can really try
Yeah.
to understand maybe what you're.
Absolutely. So if you're up for it, do you guys want like a more detailed overview of the curriculum and kind of like what the day to day is going to be?
Sure.
Okay. So I gave a kind of very general one in the advertisement, or like the papers that are up here in class and in some of the online posts. But there will be, to answer your question, there is homework. Everyone has homework every single day. And then I am always going to be available for like questions in the chat. So during those hour-long courses, although we might not necessarily have time for like a Q&A at the end every single time, during day 2 and day 3, I left a good chunk of time for Q&A. And the only questions that I'm going to not particularly answer are questions that are like very individual, that can't be applied to kind of a broad spectrum of people. But I'm going to leave the chat box open for everyone. And once everyone gets off, if I haven't answered all of the chat questions by the end of the hour, I'm going to try to type up a summary and I'm going to send out that summary to answer all of the kind of chat questions to make sure that I kind of cover everything. So day 1, okay, we have 4 classes, okay, first week of June, second week of June, third week of June, fourth week of June. Firstly, if you want to attend a 9 a.m. section, and for example, you missed the 9 a.m. section one day and you would rather do it in person than listen to the virtual recording, you can just jump into the 7 p.m. section, or vice versa. So if you know you're gonna have to miss the 7 p.m. for like a dinner with your friends, you can try to hop in on the 9 a.m. So that's why there's 2 sections open. And the first Tuesday is going to be all about food composition. So there's really 2 main topics we're going to talk about, and one of them is food quality, and one of them is food balance. So when you think about food quality, what comes to your mind, either of you?
Makes me think like processed maybe versus unprocessed, or maybe like the brands of food.
Yeah, that's definitely a good one. So think like most common thing to talk about is, okay, Whataburger versus like a burger you made at your house, or Whataburger versus the burger restaurant down the street, right? Chef made fast food, but it doesn't have to be fast food that you're necessarily comparing, right? What is inside the food matters, and where it came from matters, and we're going to talk about that. What about balance? Anyone have any thoughts for that?
As far as like how much protein, fat, and carbohydrates?
There you go. So balance is broken down into, we're going to talk about macronutrients. And again, I'm not going to be able to calculate what you need personally, right? Because everyone is slightly different, but there are some very general rules that you can abide by that most of the time work for people. I would say like 80%. Macronutrients, carbs, protein, and fat, what they are, why you need them, what they do for you, what they don't do for you, and micronutrients. So if carbs, protein, and fat are macronutrients, what might be micronutrients?
I'm assuming vitamins and minerals.
Yes, vitamins and minerals. And those are kind of the 2 big guys, but there's like all these extra stuff. You hear of plant phenols and this and that and the other. And not that I'm going to necessarily talk about those things, but like if people have questions in that section that referred kind of more complicated things, I'll try to answer it. If it requires more in-depth conversation, we can talk about it afterwards.
Cool.
Any questions on day 1?
Nope.
Okay, day 1 has homework. I'm going to go ahead and tell you what the homework is. It's going to be a 5-day food journal. And we're going to talk about how to do that, what's important when you write out the food journal, because that's what I typically recommend, is handwriting it on sheets that I'm already going to give you. So when we start, you are going to get a little like care package that's going to have a journal with all of your homework pages already like printed into that journal, as well as like my information and a couple of other things. Good so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Day 2, so second week, that's going to be all about body composition. So we're going to learn what your body is made up of, all the different things. When you think of what your body's made up of, what do you think of?
Well, I think about water, muscle, and bones.
Yeah, water, muscle, and bones. That's good. Anything else?
Lipids.
Lipids. Okay, so lipids are stored in your body, and so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about like, okay, where are things stored? Some places it's good to store fat. Some places it's not good to store fat. So we're gonna again go from like very general to then, depending on the interest of the people in class, we'll slowly get like more specific and more specific and more specific. We're also gonna kind of piggybacking off of that and lipids, talk about body composition and what it is that you could be looking for in terms of body composition changes. So when you think of people's common body comp goals, like what typically might a couple of them be?
Get around or under 15% body fat.
Yeah. So like for some reason that is the number that a lot of people, especially men, just think they should be at. But I feel like they don't know why.
Yeah.
Mark, do you have an idea of why?
I mean, everybody wants to get leaner and show their muscles, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've tested my body fat a number of times throughout different life stages, and
Yeah.
it always seemed like 15 was an attainable number that wasn't too much of a stretch. I think like 12
Yeah.
to 10 that would be awesome, but I don't think a lot of people, including myself, can realistically give up pizza and really get there.
Yeah. So that's why I love what we're going to talk about in this class. And like, I'm so passionate about this curriculum because people think it has to be one or the other, and it doesn't. You can maintain a very healthy lifestyle and healthy physicality. And most of the time that already comes with looking pretty good. Like when you feel really good and you're being really good to your body, you tend to look really good. So it's kind of like hand in hand. So we'll talk about weight loss, muscle gain, how to do both, how to do other different types of body comp changes, and like how they differ, kind of what you need to do nutritionally in combo with training if people are interested in comparing those in order to make those changes. That day, we're going to revisit your homework from week 1, and we're going to kind of like dig a little bit deeper into it. And you're going to have tasks from week 2 to week 3 to kind of add on to that homework, as well as a 24-hour recall so that you're going to have that printed into your journal as well. A 24-hour recall is just everything over the last 24 hours as opposed to 5 days. So we're going to kind of get more narrow and focus in on it. That all makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Day 3, we're going to talk about physiology. And this is sometimes where people tend to like snooze off. I'm going to try to make it as interesting as possible because I'm going to talk about it in terms of like, what is stress, right? If you want to know how stress affects your body on a very basic level, you need to know a little bit of the physiology of stress. Like, why is that important? That you understand the process of creating stress in your body. When is it good? When is it not good? Stuff about energy levels and sleep quality. That has to do with physiology. So always tying it back to something very practical, something a little bit more tangible. I'm not going to just like talk about the Krebs cycle in front of everyone because like that's even a little much for me. And I will give people maybe like bonus if they can talk about the Krebs cycle. That would be so funny.
Yeah, I do love the Krebs cycle. I mean, I do think about it. I've never forgotten it. I'm like, okay.
Right, here we go. With that, we're going to talk about food timing. Okay, so that's on physiology day. And we're also going to talk about fluid balance. So looping back to day 1, what's your body made of? Robin, you said water, bones, muscle, right? Water, your body's mostly made of water. So we're going to talk all about fluid balance and how that affects you. Does that make sense to everyone?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Final day, you also have homework on day 3, by the way, that has to do with your sleep. Okay. And then day 4 is a lot of the questions that people are curious about. Although we've addressed a good amount of them through day 1, 2, and 3, that's like a lot of background information. It's getting more specific. Day 4, week 4 is big Q&A, like open to kind of reviewing everything that we've talked about so far, as well as discussing different sleep trackers, different like sleeping positions, mattresses, things that people typically have questions about for sleep quality, as well as supplements. So this is the big supplement day and the diet type day. So answering like how all of these things relate and how one person should take different supplements from a different person and what makes a good supplement and how do you look for that, and just all sorts of like different kind of rules to live by when it comes to that and what your goals are. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Any
Yes.
questions on any of that?
No questions. Sounds perfect.
That's nice. And it sounds perfect.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe you'll think of some questions after.
I'm sure I will.
Yeah. Mark, what about you?
So I know you took some time off from being a trainer to like do more course study. Is this what you've been going at? Like as far as your certifications, or like like are you trying to show us the science that you've been discovering?
That I've been learning. Um, so yes, I would say sort of. I mean, this class is actually something, like I said, that I've been working on for a long time. So it does have something to do with that. Like, in order to practice as a dietitian,
Yep.
you have to complete clinical hours in a hospital and clinical hours working with people that have very complicated problems, right?
Right.
So this curriculum is something that even before I could say that I practice as a dietitian, like I could teach people about this, because this is for healthy people, right? And that's part of the reason why personal questions aren't necessarily always going to be addressed, especially in front of other people, because number one, it's a HIPAA violation, and number two, every kind of issue you have complicates these scenarios. So I was working with people that had complicated scenarios like diabetic foot ulcers plus colon cancer and things like that. And I was doing it under someone else, right, who was kind of like supervising me while I was working with all of these people. I am almost done with my clinical hours, thank God. All I have left actually is next month I'm going to be running a program at an eating disorder clinic. But yes, so you're partially right. Partially, this is something that I've just been waiting to do for a long time. And now that I kind of have a little bit more time in my schedule, not only is it something that I really, really care about, but I think like it can help a large group of people, because not everyone has to be perfect. You just have to know how to be intuitive about how to combine your food and exercise, and like what is going to work best for you long term and keep you satisfied.
Okay, cool. So obviously, if there's gonna be 5 people, obviously people are gonna have some different perspectives or whatnot. But
Yeah.
what are like gonna be the 3 to 5 takeaways that you'd say like this course is here to offer, if you had to like summarize it?
Yeah. So I don't know if I would say, I mean, what I would like the takeaways to be.
Sure.
I'm going to say that. I would like the takeaways to be, one, someone walks out understanding maybe if they haven't been hitting either like health goals or physique goals or performance goals, like some sort of goal that they've had for a long time, they've been stuck in a cycle, they know where they went wrong. They know how to get out of that cycle. If people come in and they haven't had goals, really, I want to get them out of that as well. Like, I think you should always have goals and you should always be working towards those goals. So although coming into the gym here, coming into the club is fun, it should be for your betterment as well. So I'm hoping to kind of like really shake up some things in people's heads. I'm hoping that people walk out with feeling much more confident in their ability to like make real-time decisions when they are not at their house. So at restaurants, like social events, like traveling, etc. Because it doesn't have to be like you have to cook all your meals from scratch and weigh everything out, or you don't pay attention to it and you eat whatever you want. And I feel like people go from one extreme to the other, and I want them to learn how to live in the middle and still make progress. And then I think the third thing is to just like know that there's a lot of different things they can do. And if they have any more questions, like I want people to feel comfortable coming to me and talking about it, rather than like reaching out to outside sources that aren't necessarily like super realistic or credible, for that matter. I want to
contradicting.
be people's source of information as like the gatekeeper to like they trust me to give them the real about a situation, whether it's good, not good, doesn't matter, etc.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Is that good? Good. Okay. So if you guys don't have any other questions, here's what I'm going to do. You absolutely take the next technically 23 hours to decide if this is something that you think you want to jump on the bandwagon and participate in June. I'm going to offer more sections. I'll offer June, I'll offer July, I'll offer August. I'm going to keep this going because that's how passionately I feel about it. And I know that it's going to be really, really, really helpful. So if you think you're going to miss too many in June and you don't know if you're going to do the virtual calls, like if it's not something that you're motivated to do, then you can come back in July when you're going to be able to hit them all in person rather than watch the recordings. I'm going to send links from my phone through your Lifetime accounts to the email address that you have linked up to your Lifetime account. By doing that, you're going to get a custom pricing point that's not listed in the computer. So you're going to get the option to just click on the button that goes to your email and pay for the early bird pricing into the class. If you do that, it'll email notify me, and then I will be able to just add you into the class sections myself. And I'll send you an email confirmation once I do, with all the things that you need to know, all the websites that are relevant, where you can pick up your care package, etc. That will expire though, and it's like 24 hours or 23 hours from now. So if you don't hit it within that time, I'm not going to be able to resend it to you.
Sounds good.
Yes. So the email that both of you have is a good email, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Any final questions before we hop off?
So the class would start June 6th, for this 4 weeks. So
Yep,
you go
so it'll
through
be-
basically 4th of July.
Yep. So every single Tuesday in June.
Okay.
Yep. And then 4th of July, you'll be off. And if Tuesdays don't work for you, and I'm kind of saying this because I know some of the people that I'm going to send this reporting to have expressed that already, I am definitely open to suggestions for other days of the week for the July section, August section, September section. So if there's a better time that is going to work and you think you would like to participate in it, if it were not on a Tuesday, definitely let me know. And I'll kind of see what kind of consensus I can come up with from a number of people.
Cool. And this is 100% Zoom. There's no meetups in person?
No meetups in person. Yeah. Most people are, you're more than welcome. I am sitting here at the table, at the big round table. So if people want to come in person, amazing. And just have their computer open and be looking at some of the things on their computer while I'm talking. But this will make it a little bit more reasonable for people to kind of ask the questions that they don't necessarily always want to ask next to someone. And then be able to have their computer in front of them and kind of compare things as we're going, ask me questions and bounce off of other people so that we don't have to all necessarily be in club at the same time.
Okay. So in the past, I've done a dietitian 4 where you have your food journals, she assesses and goes over everything. Since there's 5 people, are you going to be doing any assessment of what we're logging?
So to a point. So what I'm not going to be doing is I'm not going to be looking at everyone's food journal individually and giving my personal opinion about whether those foods are good or bad for you.
Okay.
Because I don't know you. We haven't had a one-on-one, and that's what you deserve, to really get that information. What I will do is answer questions about those foods that you have, or give general suggestions as to ways that a food journal or a day of food might be restructured or might be paired with something else. So there will be a lot of feedback on that, but it won't be I'm talking only to you, because I might tell you that you have to increase A, B, and C, and you have to eat an hour earlier, but I might tell Laura over here that she has to eat an hour later.
Okay.
Yeah. What dietitian did you work with, or where were they from, man?
It was Pure Austin. It was Haley.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Did she do one-on-one?
it was one-on-one. It was like $50 a session. I did like 5 sessions. I think I did it twice.
Nice.
So over the course of a month too. So trying to see like, how this compares to that, and
Yeah.
what's the difference.
Yeah. So I definitely want to make it clear, and that's why what I'm gonna put in the journal as well. Like, any personal questions that you have that are like a little bit too personal for me to be able to respond to them, whether on the call or in the chat box separate,
Yep.
we can schedule a follow-up call, right? Like, we can do an additional 30-minute session, just me and you, to kind of like hammer out all of those things. And for you to share more personal information with me that I don't have to ask you about in front of other people.
Okay.
All right. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to send both of you that link.
Okay.
Please text me to my work number, which Mark you have now, if you don't get the link within the next like 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Will do.
So
Okay.
this is coming from Lifetime or from Alex?
This should be, well, you know what? I don't actually, not from my personal email. I'm not actually sure. This is a brand new thing that they just started to do where like
Okay.
I can send it from my phone. So it might be coming from Lifetime. It might be coming from something called Excerpt.
Okay.
Or it could be coming from my Lifetime email address, which is avargo@lt.life.
Got it.
Yeah, sorry, I don't actually know. But
Okay.
let me know when you find out, because then I'll know the answer to that question.
Okay.
Okay.
And do
all
you
right.
know the price offhand off the top of your head, or no? Is that...
Yeah. So it's $200 for the month for people who aren't here today.
Yep.
But people who are here today or sign up like within the next 23 hours are going to get $150 for the month. So like I
Okay.
typically have $150 charge for an hour for a one-on-one. You're
Yep.
going to get 4 classes for that.
Cool. Okay.
Cool. Okay. All right. Have a good one, both of you.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you,
Bye.
Robin.
Bye.
See you, Mark.
All right. Bye.